let's allow ourselves to get started. Good, I'm gonna just make sure everyone's muted. I may mute people. Hi, Victoria. I didn't see you there before, hi. Feel free to get comfortable, allowing yourself to start your practice however you want. All right, so whether you wanna sit, whether you wanna lie down on the back or belly, just do whatever is best for you. All right, I'm gonna come back to my mat. And as you find that comfortable seat, comfortable laying down position, maybe you're taking some props with you, a blanket, whether that's to prop the tailbone or the head, depending on if you're sitting or laying down. And if you want to come to your eyes closed, you're welcome to do that at this moment, or feel free to keep them open until we kind of get a little bit more into our space. But essentially, I want to spend time just taking a moment to talk about our focus for class today. And I want us to think about our relationship to responsibility. And maybe we have a really strong relationship with responsibility. Maybe it's a little rocky of a relationship. Okay, but I'd like us to take this time into our practice to mend our relationship to responsibility, maybe enhance our relationship to responsibility. Maybe you take a moment to realize what parts of that relationship work for you and what parts don't. Okay, if you haven't already, you can now allow the eyes to close. And just take a moment to define your relationship to responsibility. Does it show up anywhere in the body? If you feel your awareness drifting into your jaw or into your tongue, can you allow it to relax? If responsibility starts to creep in between the shoulder blades or the collarbones, can you let them release and soften? If there's any tension within the belly or the muscles of the glutes, can you allow them to relax? As you soften through the soles of the feet, releasing any burdens from the heels of the feet, from the balls of the feet. Also release into the palms of your hands, allow them to soften. As we start to focus and guide our awareness into our internal space, let's start to think about our responsibility within yin. We'll allow ourselves to come to stillness. We'll allow ourselves to soften. We'll allow ourselves to feel, to observe. And however else you may describe this practice of yin, these are our responsibilities now. If you haven't noticed your breath yet, begin to do so. Whether you choose to breathe in and out through the nose, in and out through the mouth, whatever is most comfortable for you. Together, we'll start to take a few cleansing breaths. When we do this, we'll inhale through the nose and exhale out the mouth together. So whenever you're ready, take a deep breath in. And then a deep breath out. Again, inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. One more time together. We'll inhale fully. And exhale completely. And as you come back to your natural breath, notice subtle sensation, notice places of warmth. And preparing ourselves for Om, you can keep the hands relaxed in the lap, or maybe you bring them into a prayer shape at heart center, whatever is most comfortable for you. Joining me within the sound of Om, or allowing yourself to listen. But together, we'll take a deep breath in. Keeping your eyes closed, bow your chin towards your chest. Allow the vibrations to settle within the heart space and allow them to seal your intentions for practice. So whenever you're ready, you can slowly open the eyes. You can bring the hands away. Okay, we'll come out of our seated position for a moment. I'm going to have us start in a deer pose, but I'm going to show us a few variations that you can take depending on where you are within your yin practice. Okay, so option one here is we're going to allow our left leg, if we are starting in a cross-legged pose, left leg comes in front of us, right knee bends behind us, so that we allow ourselves to fold over the shin. Okay, but let me show you from the side. Left shin in front of me, right knee behind me. Okay. And because of that, you may be sitting a lot into your left hip. So you're welcome to take a blanket, a pillow, and prop your tailbone. But if you're going to choose this forward fold variation, that may mean taking pillow, blanket, bolster, whatever you may have to help support at your forearms or to help support the forehead. Okay, of course, within that pose, if you'd rather keep a neutral spine, maybe using your props in some way to just let the forehead relax. Okay, so one way is not better than the other. But that's variation one. Okay, so if you'd like to take deer in the forward fold, try that. Variation two is taking deer, but on your back. So if you're taking deer on your back, you'll roll down. That left knee is going to open out to the side, and then the right knee, more maybe kind of thinking more quad rather than hamstring here, allowing the knee to draw down, maybe your ankle comes close to you. However, if you're taking that variation and your knee starts to lift, I would ask you to not take this pose and just come into the forward fold instead. Okay? So choose option one or two. If you try one and then you realize you don't like it, go to the other one. Again, if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. But of course, taking a moment here, allowing your body to adjust. And then you'll close your eyes and then come to stillness. As you allow your body to arrive into stillness, you may be feeling a few sensations. Maybe you just feel one sensation localized in an area. And oftentimes in our external experiences, we may think our responsibility is here to control. That's our job. I'm responsible. Let me control the situation. And I think having that mindset sometimes hinders our relationship to responsibility. So when we arrive into these yin poses, can we allow ourselves to not control? Can we observe that sensation? And rather than think, is this right? Is this wrong? Just listen. If your body wants you to stay there, it's probably right. If your body says, this is pain, right? I don't like this, right? If you feel that message, why don't you try to adjust? And as we allow ourselves to arrive more and more, we can begin that process of softening. Again, relaxing through the muscles of your face, unclenching the teeth, letting your shoulders relax. Letting your chest and your diaphragm and your belly all soften. Again, relaxing through the muscles of the glutes. Softening through your calves and the bones of your shins. And still releasing through the ankles and the arches of the feet. Allowing your responsibility here to take time within softening. We'll want to stay present with the breath. And maybe you check in every now and then. Making sure the breath is as deep as you want or as quiet as you'd like. But just making sure it's there. Okay, so here, as we honor our decision, as we honor our relationship with our responsibility, you can choose to stay where you are if you're in the middle of something. But if you're choosing, or if you're ready to begin releasing from this shape, we want to remember to move slow. So as you begin walking yourself up and out of the pose, That may mean your hands coming down one at a time, beginning to lift the head and chest. And maybe that brings your hands behind you, legs unraveling, moving side to side. But if you took that deer variation laying on your back, one leg at a time can unravel. And you can still choose to windshield wiper the knees, even lying down. If there's any other intuitive movements, like a reach of the arms, a twist through the spine, whatever feels good and natural, you can take as many movements as you'd like. From there, we move into a pause called rebound. And maybe you stay seated. Maybe you lay on your back or belly. Maybe you take a pause in child's pose. And again, you'll close your eyes. Let yourself find stillness. And again, giving ourselves that time to feel, to observe, and to listen. Maybe feeling the awareness travel through your left hip, down the left leg. Maybe traveling through the right hip, down the right leg. Maybe there's awareness somewhere within your spine, your neck, your chin. And from this rebound, if you'd like to stay here a little longer, you're welcome to. Or you can slowly open the eyes. We'll let ourselves move into deer on the right-hand side. Okay, so that's, again, you're either choosing to stay seated, right shin in front of you, left knee back behind you. Again, supporting yourself in a way to fold. Or you sit tall within the spine and still taking a blanket or a pillow to prop that right hip, or both hips, depending on your body. Of course, if you're going to take deer laying down, allow yourself to lay down first, then guiding the right knee, right shin in front of you, left leg back behind you.
Question for you.
Yeah.
For like the leg placement, are they supposed to be both like 90 degrees, or does it kind of just float off and?
Yeah, so that's a great question. A lot of people like to teach it as a 90-90.
Yeah.
And that's okay in some degrees, but what I want everyone to know here is it doesn't have to be that way. And what I mean by that is sometimes if I'm here and I keep my back knee close to me, you know, if let's say just my hip is really tight or I'm starting to cramp, I may need to keep that knee closer to me.
Okay.
Other days, if I'm feeling really open, I want to stretch more and more, I'll guide that knee farther. And it's the same thing with that front shin. That front shin can be really close to you or far away, and that changes the degree or the dimension of the stretch. Is that helpful?
Yes,
Cool.
very much so.
Cool, cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking. And that's one of the cool things about changing our relationship to responsibility, right? It's not feeling like we have to be in these cookie cutter picture, these cookie cutter shapes. Our responsibility is to listen and to observe. And going even a little further with this, as you all arrive into your poses, our responsibility is to find our true essence. Our responsibility could be to be amazed by the body. If I put my shin, if I put my ankle in that direction, I feel something. But maybe I twist slightly towards the left or to the right, and I receive a whole new stretch. So it's these types of questions, it's this type of curiosity we can arrive into, allowing us to explore different placements to receive different stretches. And within this time of feeling, observing, we want to check in with the breath. We want to check in to our ability to soften. Still taking your awareness to the many different places and letting areas release, relax. Letting yourself adjust whenever helpful or whenever necessary for your experience within the pose. Again, you have the option here. If you'd like to stay in deer, stay. If you're ready to release, you can do so as long as you know you will move slow. The slower you move, the better. Taking your time to unravel the body. Maybe after a pose like that, it brings you into tabletop. Maybe you feel cat-cow is what your body wants. Maybe it's just moving the shoulders a little bit, or the knees, or the hips. No right or wrong, no better or worse. But we're allowing ourselves to take up different space, really moving through all dimensions of the body. That brings you into some yoga poses, great. That brings you into a nice stretch that you like to take when you wake up out of bed, great. Okay, but when you feel that you've released from that time in stillness, we get to come back. And we pause within rebound. And maybe you sit for rebound, maybe you're in child's pose, maybe you spend time on the back or belly. And I always like to say, the pose is the catalyst that prepares you or that guides you into rebound. You know, in rebound, we're not done. We're still here observing. We're letting all that fascia that was expanding to now slowly contract back. And as the fibers of our body may hum or buzz with awareness, our responsibility is here to feel that, to listen to that, and maybe even respond back. If you'd like to stay where you are in rebound, you're more than welcome to do so. Whenever you're ready, you can come back to a seated position. You can slowly open your eyes. Okay. And then I'm going to guide us into the next stretch, which will either be, well, I'm going to give you two options again. We're going to come into variations of twisted roots. Sometimes you'll hear this in vinyasa classes like eagle wrap legs, but you're on your back. But let me show you a couple things you can do. So as we come back to lay down, option one, as we come into the twist, you're going to take your knees into the chest, and maybe your body just wants supine twist, right? And then you can open your arms out to a T shape, or keep the arms close to you, right? Let me keep moving back so you can see me. Option two, if you'd like to come into twisted roots, that's what your left leg wraps around your right. So if I have both my legs here, left leg wraps around. Maybe you double hook around the calf, not necessary, but if you want to, and then you send the legs open. And still, the arms will come into a twist. Or maybe they stay close to you. Okay, option three, I just want to give enough options for everybody's body. Option three, maybe you take a block or a pillow. I want you to make sure to see me. And instead of having the legs wrapped around, your top leg, your left leg can rest on top of that block or bolster or pillow. Or maybe it just rests on the floor. Okay, so feel free to try some of those variations and then choose what works for you. Whether you're taking a supine twist, whether you're taking twisted roots with the legs wrapping around, or your left leg, the top leg there, can maybe extend straight out. Okay. So feel free to try one and gradually change throughout your time here. Oh, sorry. Because we're taking our left leg on top, sending them over to the right, that may mean your shoulders need to be propped, the back of your head may need a pillow or blanket. And sometimes you don't know until you're in the pose. Again, if you have a question, feel free to ask. And whether your arms are going to open out to a T shape, maybe your arms reach up above the head, or maybe your hands are going to relax near you in some way. So whenever you're ready, you'll close your eyes. You'll find your stillness. And then you'll begin to arrive. Within that process of arriving, begin to let your awareness travel through the many parts of your body. Allow yourself to let go of unnecessary tension. Allow yourself to let go of unnecessary control. And as we soften, that may change your experience, or that may change the sensation of the stretch. Usually it makes it more real, more vibrant, sometimes more uncomfortable. And while we stay within our practice of yin, whether it's in this practice or future practices, let's remember that our responsibility here is to listen, is to observe, is to feel. And even more so, we can acknowledge that our responsibility is to honor the body, honor the mind, honor the heart, and the power does not have to be given to anyone else. It's you within your own strength, or you within your own power, to find this stillness, to breathe into these sensations, to find those intuitive shapes when we release that can be anything and everything, to then find that power and strength again to sit and rebound and to feel even more. If you'd like to spend a little more time here, you're welcome to stay where you are. If you're choosing to release from this twist, just do so slowly and mindfully. Maybe you're awakening your upper body first, and then maybe you're slowly awakening your lower body. If it feels good to lengthen the legs or hug the knees into the chest, you can do so. Maybe you choose no movements at all, and you let yourself come right to that pause, right into that space for rebound. When you're ready for that pause, you're welcome to find stillness. Again, reclose the eyes, keeping us within that meditative perspective. letting us again acknowledge and experience for the body, for the mind, even for the breath. You're more than welcome to stay here in rebound for as long as you'd like. But when you're ready, we're going to start to find our supine twist or different variations of twisted roots to the right side, or for the right leg anyway, as you send the knees to the left. Feel free to adjust. And for whatever reason, if you had the right leg on top first, now just do the left side. Taking a moment to adjust your space, to then find those props that are helpful. And even within the twist, with the knees going to one side, they may not touch the floor, and that's fine. You can grab books, blocks, pillows, blankets, towels, and support the knees or the shins or the ankles, depending on what you may need. Remember, there's no right or wrong shape. There's no right or wrong thing to feel. Allow yourself to arrive. Let's begin that process of softening. When we communicate, we oftentimes just think about words. And sure, of course, our body understands those words that we say to ourselves or think to ourselves. But the body also communicates with sensation. Our bodies communicate with the presence of tension or no tension. So if we stay holding that unnecessary tension in the jaw, in the shoulders, that doesn't communicate a message to our body saying, we're safe here to stretch, or we're open-minded to this experience. That keeps the fascia that we're trying to help, it still keeps it closed off. But as we're all very good with responsibility, responsibility shows commitment to our work, to our goals. The responsibility in our yin practice, if we want to show commitment, it's that ability to soften. Staying committed to our body to stretch, allowing the fibers of our fascia to reclaim space. Again, checking in with your breath. Maybe staying fixated at your gaze behind the eyelids. If you'd like to stay here for a little longer, you're welcome to stay. Or if you're choosing to release, you can do so slowly. Thinking about that strong, stretchy elastic, right? Fascia expands, expands. So we want to move slow as we allow it to contract back. You'll find a new home against your joints, against your bones, against your organs. So just be patient. And maybe you're going to find some intuitive movement here. And then within your own time, you'll find that pause to rebound, that pause to reflect. Maybe you even notice differences within your breath. Maybe in rebound, you get a sudden deep breath and then a big exhale. Your nervous system resetting, your body communicating with you, saying, I'm absorbing what's happening. Changes are occurring. And before we move out of rebound completely, I would like us to take a moment to draw the knees into the chest and then extend the legs up so that your feet reach to the ceiling. And your legs don't have to be locked straight. Let the knees be buoyant. Maybe there's a slight bend into the knees. And you can just let the hands relax to the sides or up above the head, whatever feels good. And you can even soften your ankles, soften your feet. As you allow your glutes to relax here, as you allow your knees to soften, maybe one leg extends more towards your face than the other. That's fine. Don't force your legs to be in any sort of sameness or pair. Just let them be. And feeling this waterfall effect of the body. Maybe a new sense of discomfort here. Continue to breathe. Continue to feel a shift within experience or awareness. And then very slowly, the knees can bend more and more as we guide the feet back towards the floor. No rush. And at that point, if the knees stay bent, okay. If the legs want to straighten and go long, great. Just choose what feels natural to you. Take another moment to pause. Within your own time, you can guide your knees into the chest. You can roll to one side of the body. And you'll come back to a seated shape. No rush to get there. Okay. So from here, I'd like us to come into a pose called praying mantis. But again, I'm going to give us different options. So if you'd rather take variations of child's pose, you can do that, or praying mantis. I'm going to talk about child's pose first, and then I'll guide some variations for praying mantis. So taking your variations of child's pose, right? That may mean knees close to you, knees slightly wider. Let me back up. Maybe your arms are gonna stretch, stretch, stretch to the top of the mat, right? So I am guiding us to do a little bit more for the upper body here. So if you choose to take child's pose, just make sure you're creating space from your side rib cage underneath your armpit and all the way to your fingertips. So have your arms walking out wide. Of course, if you want to take blankets, pillows, supporting your hips, supporting your knees, supporting your calves within that child's pose, you're more than welcome to do so. Okay, but now I'm going to share some other variations. So in child's pose, you can also bend at the elbows, bringing your head down, hands come to rest at your shoulder blades, right? So don't keep them close together, allow them to have space and bring them back. From there, you can walk your elbows a little farther. Okay, and like right now, my upper body's tight, and that's doing a lot for me to be in child's pose and just have my elbows bent. Okay, however, I do want to explain praying mantis. You can take books or you can take blocks, right? Whatever you want to do, as long as it's a somewhat similar height. So I have my blocks flat like this. I'm going to guide my elbows to the blocks, pillows, whatever you want to do. And with my knees, as they draw back, my head comes down and my hands relax again at my upper back. So that's a little bit more praying mantis. And I'll show it from this side too, real quick. If I were to take blocks or books, elbows draw down, but it's more like my tricep spending or using more of my energy of my tricep there. Head comes down, hands relax. And again, for the hips, they can still be in child's pose shape. They can still draw back at the heels, having your elbows bent. You know, or you can lift, walk the knees back, and let the chest relax. So different variations. I'm sure if you're messing around with this, you'll even find something that you may like to do that's a little different. But yeah, if someone has a question.
Yeah, if you're in the praying mantis, does your head need a support or do you let your head hang and dangle?
So that's your choice. I would suggest keeping a pillow unless your head can touch the mat, or maybe like one layer of a blanket. If you feel like it's taking away from sensation, then move it away and let your head hang.
Okay.
Yeah, good question.
Give it a try. I may end up in child's pose. We'll see.
Okay, good. At least you tried, yeah. Very nice. Usually, I'll give you another tip here for praying mantis, anyone taking praying mantis. Because the head is drawing down and your spine is still higher or your hips are still higher, sometimes if we breathe heavy or breathe deep, just feel it. That oxygen is going to go straight to your brain. Sometimes it makes people a little dizzy, thinking about being in an aversion or something. So in praying mantis, we still want the breath present, but we don't want to breathe really heavy. So if you can find some calmness or some length to your breath, that would be great. And whether you play around with the elbows bending or the arms lengthening long, both in child's pose, both in praying mantis, feel free to try. Allowing the hands to relax, right? Letting them soften against your neck or against your shoulder blades. And allowing the rest of the body to soften as well. And whether you're in child's pose or praying mantis, if the knees are closer towards you, less sensation. With the knees farther away from you, a little bit more sensation. Remember, we're not looking for complete comfort. Complete comfort is like restorative. We don't want to look for extreme pain. We want to be somewhere in the middle, almost dancing between comfort and discomfort. Checking in with your breath. Maybe checking in at your internal screen, whatever the eyes are observing here. If you'd like to stay in your variation of child's pose or praying mantis, feel free to do so. If you're going to come out, slowly guide your knees together. Maybe you walk the knees towards your chest, towards your face. Allowing the elbows or your triceps to push down towards the floor, towards your books or whatever you may be using. And then how does it feel to release slowly? Checking in. You come into forward folds. You reach with the arms. Sometimes you're in tabletop cat-cow. Sometimes you're in down dog. And it may feel good to even find plank. It may feel good to be in that down dog, up dog, something. It's like our strength has a whole new ability with the openness of the fascia. And then when you're ready, find that pause to rebound. Maybe come back to focus if you felt a little distracted. If you're in the middle of something, you're welcome to stay as long as you'd like in rebound. But whenever you're ready, you can again come back to a seated shape. Slowly open the eyes when you're ready. And I'll talk about our next pose, okay? But no rush. Within this next pose, I talked earlier about maybe using a rolled up towel or something. So I'm going to talk about that here for this pose. You may not even need it. You may not even want to use it, but this is the time to kind of see that you may need it. We're going to be coming into half stirrup pose, or also it basically looks like half happy baby. Okay, but the reason why in yin we have different names for poses is because we're not engaging. We're trying to not control the breath. We're not really activating any specific part of the body. So in yin, we need to have different names because they are different representations of each other. So let me show you some things that you can do for this. As we come to lay down, okay, we're going to start with the left leg. So my right knee is going to stay bent. My left knee comes into the chest. Option one is to hold on to the shin and stay here. And that may mean propping the shoulder, propping the head. Maybe I even choose to find my thigh instead. But this is option one. And then if you choose to straighten that right leg, great, or that knee stays bent. Okay. Option two, though, to find more of a stirrup or half happy baby shape, you can hold on to your ankle or shin. You can also find your foot. Or maybe you choose to take your towel or your strap or whatever you want and do that instead. Okay, but just be mindful because I really like the thigh to be supported. So whether you take a towel, a blanket, you know, I would really take a blanket more than a block. And I would allow myself to be propped underneath my knee and my thigh. You know, if it's in the air a little bit, great. But to make it a little bit more of a yin perspective, having a prop there, maybe even propping your shoulder, and you're still in the stretch. If the arm at any time doesn't want to hold on, doesn't want to grip, just let it go. And allow the knee to float here in space for as long as you'd like, until maybe you lower it and just come back to the shin or the thigh. Okay? With that variation of stirrup though, of course, you can lengthen the right leg if you want to. For me, that's a lot of sensation, so I usually keep that one knee bent and the foot flat to the floor. Okay. This is a great pose to come into, especially with the theme of responsibility. Remembering that your mind may want one thing, but your body may be telling you another. So try to find a medium between the two as you guide yourself throughout these experiences here. Maybe you're all ready to go. You're ready to soften. You're ready to arrive. Seeing how your breath is. If you notice that the breath can't move freely, you may be stretching too deeply. How our breath responds to experiences and to situations. It's a huge communication point. So allow yourself to check in. And just as we practiced having both legs in the air, finding that buoyancy to the knees, maybe you can find that again here. Allowing your kneecaps to relax. Breathing into the skin behind your knees, not tightening that, tensing it. Maybe we can even acknowledge that sometimes being responsible means to just be. To be within your breath. To be within your body. If you'd like to stay here a little longer, you're welcome to do so. But if you're going to choose to release that left foot, left ankle, the left shin, or your towel, just do so slowly. Yeah, maybe you're even guiding your knee or your shin back down to the floor. Moving with a little more care and attention. Maybe it feels good to have the feet again extend up to the ceiling. You like that feeling, or maybe you just let the legs go long and straighten out. They relax on the floor. And as we've learned, both through past classes of mine or even today, indirectly, you can feel or you can notice how our entire system of fascia is connected. So maybe your arms want some movement, maybe your fingers or wrists want some movement. Acknowledging that and honoring that. Finding your rebound, where you'd like to take that moment to observe. You're more than welcome to stay here for as long as you'd like. Or you can come into your half stirrup pose on the right-hand side. If you started on the right, you'll now do the left side. Okay, this particular side of the body may want a different variation, may need to be propped differently. Maybe your hips or your tailbone would like a little extra support. Maybe the shoulders or the head. Maybe you even notice holding onto this foot differently. Maybe you choose to find the ankle or the shin instead. Again, that opposite knee can stay bent, or the leg can relax long, if that's helpful to your experience. Remember, you can always prop this right knee or right thigh as we're holding on to a prop or the leg in some way. But if you haven't began to soften, please do so. Taking time to let ourselves let go of unnecessary control, unnecessary tension. We can physically soften into fascia that's closest to the layers of skin. We have the ability to unclench the teeth, relax the jaw. We have the ability to soften the scapula or the shoulder blades. We have the ability to release through the belly button. And then, like passing a baton or passing a wand, we have to let the rest of the body do the softening. We can take care of the parts that are closest to the layers of skin, but through our awareness and through our commitment, our bones can soften. The release of the fascia will let your organs breathe, letting them take up more space within these fibers. Maybe you can feel a deeper layer of your muscle relaxing or even stretching itself. Just allowing yourself to stay present and focused. If you'd like to stay here slightly longer, you're welcome to do so. Or you can choose to release from our half stirrup pose within your own time, within your own breath. Maybe keeping the eyes closed. If not, just keep the gaze soft. Not looking at anything specific, but keeping your awareness drawn inward. And as this release slowly takes you into some movements, some twists, some physical expressions of the body, letting yourself honor that. Continuing to reflect and observe. From here, we'll begin to prepare ourselves for our time in Shavasana. And if that means staying exactly where you are, honor that. If you want to take some props, if you're getting a little colder, more than welcome to take as many blankets as you'd like to cover the body. Maybe you have something rolled up or a pillow underneath the knees or underneath your neck or head. Sometimes it feels good to take Shavasana on the belly. Sometimes it feels good to take Shavasana on your side body and have your knees drawn to the chest. Whatever is most comfortable for you, however you'd like to experience your Shavasana tonight, you can begin to come into that. And then, of course, within your own time, you'll again soften. You'll again allow the eyes to close. That's adorable, Holly. And yeah, sometimes the animals or your pets that may be around you, maybe they're taking up your props. But as long as you're the most comfortable you can be within your final pause here, welcoming yourself now. Within your own time, let's begin to deepen the breath. You'll slowly draw your awareness back into the space of your body. Allow your awareness to come back into the space of your room. And as you gently awaken more and more, you'll find the placement of your hands and the placement of your feet. Maybe you start to take some gentle movements as you awaken the wrists and ankles. If it feels good to have the arms stretching up above the head, or maybe even letting the arms wrap around the chest and hugging your upper body. As you choose to awaken the legs, maybe the knees bend and you hug them to the chest. Whether you wrap around the shins or wrap around the backs of your thighs. It may even feel good to draw your forehead up to your knees as you stretch from the back body. And then intuitively roll to either the left or the right. Maybe your eyes can stay closed here. And within this middle space of awakening, but still reflecting, you can choose to end your practice on your side body, or you can gently push down into the floor and come back to a seated shape. Choose however you'd like to end. When you're ready, you'll find your stillness. Again, we close the eyes in case they've opened. And just taking a moment to honor your relationship with responsibility. As you notice your natural lift of the spine. As you notice any freedoms within your breath. Notice any space, any clarity in the mind. And maybe after practice, you have a new definition of responsibility. Or maybe you'd like to practice responsibility within a new way, a new view. As we begin to seal our practice, let's first take one cleansing breath. We'll inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. As we guide our hands into prayer shape at heart center, you're welcome to join me within the sound of Om. Take a deep breath in. As you bow your chin towards your chest, thank you for practicing with me this evening, being elevated through yoga. Namaste. Yay! Let me take everybody off mute just for a second so we can say goodbye. There we go. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If anyone has a question, feel free to try to grab my attention or message. But I hope class was well. Oh, more puppies! I see your, oh my gosh, so many. Victoria has a dog. Love it.
It's just like having kids. Like, until you need privacy, they don't know about you. But the minute you want some privacy, they've all got to come in.
Oh, so true. So
Mike's
true.
laying down with me for Shavasana. He curls up next to me.
They feel it too. That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody have a great week.
Tiana, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I just, are there specific poses for the feet?
Oh, yes. Do you want me to show you them?
Yes.
Yeah. If anyone needs to go, you're more than welcome to, of course, sign off. But if you want to just see this real quick,
I'd be interested in this.
there's a couple.
Real pain in this part of my foot.
Okay.
That I can almost not walk without limping. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Where is it in your foot?
See if it's
I don't know what that's called. It's not in the arch. It's right here between the arch and the heel. And then back here. I did some energy healing work on it today so that just the emotional stuff can be released, but there's just inflammation and it,
I feel you. I feel you. Okay. So one idea, I'm going to show you a couple things. You may need to take a blanket to prop your knees, but then your toes are going to, you sit back on the heels. Okay.
Okay.
This is it may not get to the point of where you want to feel it, remember, but we want to focus on the whole area.
Right, the whole foot.
Yeah, the whole foot. And I mean, even the ankle and the shins too. So in doing that, that could be a lot of tension because all your weight is on your heels. So you can take books or blocks or pillows, whatever, and just bring your forearms down. Because as you lean forward, it's less sensation. As you lean back, it's more.
Right.
So that's one. Two, this is more for the top of your feet though. But if you allow your toes to untuck so that you're sitting on your heels, by pressing down, you lift your knees up. Wait, is someone?
Whoever Anamika is, he's making noise. That's flipping the screen.
Yeah, hold on. Wait, what?
The Anamika.
Oh, it's.
Movement,
I feel you.
there's just noise in the background, and I think that's making the screen flip.
I gotcha. Okay. Maybe now. That may be better.
Okay, so I caught the two things you said. One was like toes tucked under and sit on them or lean forward.
Yes.
And the other one was to flatten the feet and then lean back.
Yes. But the thing with that is you still want to have some support. So you can take anything, prop your shins so that your knees are just floating.
Okay.
And then actually though, I want to show you one more thing, which I don't know if you've done this with me before. Let me take off my socks so that maybe you see my feet better. When we sit in forward fold in yin, it's called caterpillar. But I want you to take your one foot and cross it over that opposite ankle and fold.
Okay.
So you take your foot, like my left foot is going to bend and cross over my right foot, and then I fold.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And in case you just need to see it from another view, take a foot and just press it over the opposite as you fold. And you don't even have to fold that deep because you'll probably already be able to feel something more towards the outer shin, outer calf, and into the ankle.
Well, and that's I think right, they're all connected, obviously. But
yeah.
The tension starts up in my calf, and then I mean, the same tendon that is strained in my foot runs up into my leg. Mm-hmm. So I can see how that would be helpful. I can't do that very much. I can't get quite as much fold as you can, one foot over the other. Mm-hmm. But I can feel it up in my calf.
Great. Awesome.
Okay, I'm going to give those a try for a few days.
Yeah. And they're helping everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I keep wanting to ask this other question. How much yin is too much yin? Like, how many? Can you do this every day? Can you? Because rebound is my favorite part.
Me too. Me too. And it really depends on your body. Some people will want it every day. Some people will want it every other day. So that really just depends on what works for you.
Okay. Well, it's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Agreed. Thank you very much, as always.
No problem. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. I'll see you guys later.
Have a good night.
Night.
Night.